Let's get started. Number 10. The Corpse Pope. In the 9th century, the Catholic Church held one of the strangest trials in human history, and the defendant was already dead, literally. Pope Formosus had been buried for months before his successor, Pope Stephen VI, decided that wasn't enough. He ordered Formosus' corpse dug up, dressed in papal robes, and placed on a throne for trial. They called it the Cadaver Synod, and yes, they actually questioned the rotting body in court, with a deacon answering on his behalf. The charges? Perjury, violating church law, and being too ambitious. The sentence? Guilty, obviously. They stripped his corpse of papal garments, cut off his blessing fingers, and threw him into the Tiber River. It was supposed to purify the church, but it ended up making Rome look like an insane asylum. Even medieval chroniclers wrote about it like, yeah, this was a bit much. Months later, Pope Stephen himself was imprisoned and strangled to death. Karma didn't take long. Historians say this event kicked off decades of church chaos, proving that even religion couldn't escape medieval drama. And next time someone tells you politics is dead, remember, it used to be literally dead. Number 9. The Dancing Plague. In July 1518, the citizens of Strasbourg woke up to a woman named Frau Trophea dancing in the street, alone. No music, no festival, just pure, unstoppable movement. At first, people laughed. Then she kept dancing. For days. Within a week, 30 others joined her. Within a month, over 400. The town tried everything, musicians, priests, even designated dance halls, to let them get it out of their system. Instead, people collapsed from exhaustion, heart attacks, and strokes. No one really knows what caused it. Some historians blame ergot poisoning, a fungus in rye that can cause hallucinations, and coincidentally is related to LSD. Others think it was mass hysteria, a psychological chain reaction triggered by extreme stress and starvation. Imagine TikTok, but medieval and deadly. The most disturbing part? This wasn't the only one. Europe had several dancing manias across centuries, proving that sometimes the human mind can literally dance itself to death. So next time you say this song is fire, maybe take a break after a few hours. Number 8. The Great Molasses Flood. January 15th, 1919, Boston, Massachusetts. A massive steel tank holding over 2 million gallons of molasses suddenly burst open. What followed wasn't a sweet dream, but a sticky nightmare. A 25-foot-high wave of syrup tore through the city at 35 miles per hour, flattening buildings, overturning trains, and trapping people and horses in what survivors described as a dark, hot flood of death. It killed 21 people and injured over 150. Some suffocated, others drowned, in molasses. Rescuers described the scene as like wading through glue. Even decades later, locals said the streets smelled like sugar on hot days. The cause? The company that built the tank ignored basic safety. It leaked constantly, but they painted it brown to hide it. The explosion happened because the molasses had been fermenting in the cold, creating gas pressure until, boom. It was one of the first corporate negligence cases in U.S. history, and proof that even dessert can kill you if capitalism gets involved. Number 7. The 1519 Welcome Party for Cortés. When Hernán Cortés landed in Mexico, the Aztecs didn't attack him. They welcomed him. Why? Because they thought he was the god Quetzalcoatl, returning from the east, a pale-skinned deity who was prophesied to come back one day. Cortés, realizing this, played along like the world's first imposter influencer. He accepted gold, feasts, and access to the Aztec capital, all while secretly plotting to overthrow them. By the time the Aztecs realized he wasn't a god but a colonizer, it was too late. The tragic irony? The prophecy probably started as political myth centuries earlier, not divine truth. But that one belief cost an empire its existence. It's the ultimate historical catfish, and maybe the worst case of manifesting ever recorded. Number 6. The Ghost Army. During World War II, the U.S. military deployed a top-secret unit called the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Their mission wasn't to fight, it was to pretend to. These were artists, designers, and sound engineers from places like Hollywood and the art schools of New York. Their weapon? Illusion. They rolled out inflatable tanks, fake artillery, and rubber jeeps that looked real from the air. They blasted pre-recorded sounds of troop movements and battle noise through massive speakers. They even used actors dressed as generals to wander around cafes near enemy lines, accidentally letting Germans overhear fake plans. The results were unbelievable. Their tricks fooled Nazi reconnaissance into thinking entire divisions were stationed where only a few hundred men stood. Military historians estimate their deception saved 30,000 Allied lives. After the war, their work was kept classified for decades. It was like a mashup between Saving Private Ryan and Looney Tunes, but with life and death consequences. It's the rare case where being a good liar actually made you a hero. Number 5. The Dyatlov Pass. Incident. In 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers died mysteriously in the Ural Mountains. When rescuers found their campsite, it looked like something out of a horror film. Their tent was ripped open from the inside. Some bodies were barefoot in the snow. One had a fractured skull, another had missing eyes, and one woman's tongue was gone. For decades, theories went wild. Military tests, UFOs, secret weapons, even Yeti attacks. The truth, however, might be even weirder. In 2019, scientists using advanced avalanche modeling found that a small but powerful slab avalanche could have struck their tent without leaving obvious traces, enough to panic the group into fleeing half-dressed into sub-zero darkness. Some still don't buy it, pointing to radiation on their clothes and strange orange skin. But the combination of fear, injury, and exposure fits the evidence best. It's not as flashy as aliens, but it's somehow scarier, because it shows how fast nature turns from silent beauty to cold indifference. Number 4. The 1908 Tunguska Explosion. June 30th, 1908, Siberia. A massive fireball lit up the sky, flattening 80 million trees over an area the size of a major city. Witnesses miles away were thrown off their feet. Horses were vaporized. The sky glowed for nights afterward, bright enough to read a newspaper in London. Scientists didn't reach the site until years later and found no crater, no meteorite, just devastation. For over a century, no one knew what caused it. Theories ranged from comets to black holes to alien weapons. Today, researchers believe it was a small asteroid, about 150 feet wide, that exploded midair with the force of 15 megatons, roughly 1,000 times Hiroshima. It was the biggest impact event in recorded history, and Earth was insanely lucky it hit remote forest instead of a city. If it had struck a populated area, history books might have started in 1908 and ended in 1908. Number 3. The Great Emu War. Australia, 1932. Soldiers, machine guns, camouflage, and the enemy? A bunch of 6-foot-tall birds. After World War I, Australian farmers were struggling, until 20,000 emus invaded their wheat fields like feathery locusts. So, the government sent in the army, literally. 2 soldiers with Lewis machine guns, mounted on trucks, were ordered to eliminate the emus. It went horribly. The emus outran the trucks, scattered unpredictably, and soaked up bullets like feathery tanks. One officer admitted, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, we could face any army in the world." After weeks of chaos and thousands of wasted rounds, the soldiers gave up. The emus had won. Farmers begged for another offensive, but the government said, essentially, "No, we're done losing to birds." The Emu War became legend, a national embarrassment turned meme, but it's also a glimpse of how nature doesn't care about our pride. Sometimes the smartest move is retreating from a bird that just doesn't give a damn about your machine gun. Number 2. The 1518 human experiment in Versailles. Louis XIV, the Sun King, is remembered for his palaces and wigs, but one of the weirdest things that happened under his rule was an early medical experiment involving human blood transfusion. In 1667, a French doctor decided to see if animal blood could calm humans by transfusing it into a 15-year-old boy. They chose a sheep, because, in their words, it was gentle and innocent. They injected the boy with sheep blood. He survived the first round, so they tried it again. This time, he suffered chills, fever, and nearly died. The doctor claimed success anyway, and Europe went wild for transfusion cures. One nobleman even suggested using lamb's blood to make criminals more docile. It didn't end well. Several people died, and France banned blood transfusions for 150 years. Ironically, when scientists finally tried again, with human blood, it worked. That's history in a nutshell. We walk into disaster, declare victory, and ban progress for a century. Number 1. The Phantom Time. Hypothesis. Here's a theory so insane it makes conspiracy nuts sound like cautious historians. In 1991, a German historian named Herbert Illig claimed that about 300 years of history never happened. Specifically, the years 614-911 AD, meaning Charlemagne, the entire early Middle Ages, and possibly the Viking raids, were fabricated by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II to make it seem like they were living in the year 1000. His argument? Gaps in historical records, inconsistent calendar data, and architectural anachronisms. According to Illig, we're actually living in the 1700s, not the 2000s. It sounds ridiculous, and most historians agree it is. Radiocarbon dating, astronomical events, and independent Chinese and Islamic records all prove those centuries existed. But here's the strange part. The theory caught on. Not because it's true, but because deep down, people want to believe that history is rigged. Maybe that's the real mystery, not whether time was faked, but how easily we rewrite reality when it fits our story. That's it for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.